Hello, everyone. It's your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, here with Ryan. And today we're going to be doing episode 5 of the Two Guys Talking podcast, where Ryan and I talk on the phone, normally about pop culture, or just whatever happens to be on.
So we're not on the phone, we're on Facebook.
We are on Facebook, that's true. We're in a video call. We were on the phone a moment ago, though, and we decided to start the podcast early because we were kind of just talking about podcast stuff, anyways. So, let's get down to business. So I actually have a few topics that I have jotted down. Do you want to jump on those, or do you want to continue off of the last thing that we were talking about on the phone like a moment ago?
I'd like to do a thing. Okay.
Okay, what's the thing?
My family, we finished watching the last episode of Ted Lasso. It's like a cool, sports anime. And by sports anime, it's a show about sports. It's pretty funny and stuff, but it's not an anime. But it's totally just a sports anime.
Okay.
So y'all should watch it. It's on Apple. What's the Apple streamer? Like Apple
TV
Plus?
Plus, I think is what they call it.
You don't have that, you can probably find it on the internet.
Yeah.
I haven't
So
checked it
today.
but it's probably there. But go watch it. It's fun. It's cool humor.
Nice. I'm glad that you started it off with a recommendation. But that's not bad. There's a YouTube channel that I actually have started watching recently. I think it's called MXR Plays or whatever. It's essentially just a guy and his girlfriend talking about Reddit. But it's pretty good. So I recommend you guys check out MXR Plays. If you like stuff like SSS Sniper Wolf, it's kind of like that. Let's see. But you and I were talking about Nightwing because I mentioned to you over the phone that there are
Night Wings.
right
The
that
bird.
there are multiple characters who have gone by the name of Nightwing, and that the name Nightwing comes from Tony and
Grayson, all walks of people.
it's
Okay.
more than just Dick Grayson who's been Nightwing. So Nightwing was first depicted in a story called Superman in Candor. And it was actually an alias that was used by Superman in pre-crisis stories. So Candor is like a bottled city of Kryptonians. But in the city of Candor, Superman doesn't have any superpowers. So in this bottled city, he's like a gadget-based superhero similar to Batman. And he had a sidekick named Flamebird, who was Jimmy Olsen. And they used to fight crime in Candor.
Makes sense. Yeah, I've seen All Star Superman.
So you're telling me an All-Star Superman, like the Nightwing Flamebird stuff comes up?
No.
No? Okay. Because I haven't read All-Star Superman, so for a minute I was like, oh,
You read All Star Superman.
I missed the last thing you said.
You should go read All Star Superman. You should also go watch that Superman movie that came out. Can't seen that either.
At some point, I can check it out. But I imagine, Ryan, that Superman probably references the fact that he's been a Batman-style character in the past named Nightwing to Dick Grayson back when he's Robin. And then Robin's probably like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool, and probably just something that sticks with him. I don't know. Or maybe he tells him about the bird. He tells him about the Nightwing bird from Krypton or whatever. And then he goes, wow, a cool bird. I'm named after...
Is Nightwing just not like a normal Earth bird?
What? What Earth bird known as a Nightwing are you familiar with?
I don't know. I didn't say I was familiar. I just assumed it was just a normal bird.
I've never heard of a Nightwing outside of a comic book context in my life. Someone on Yahoo Answers is like, what bird does Nightwing represent? What bird is that? Let's see what they had to say on Yahoo Answers about it. They're just saying the candor thing. Like it's just not a real bird. It's just two words before, I think.
It's not a real bird, it's a wing.
Now, did you know that like Robin isn't named after like the bird? The reason his suit looks the way it does, and it's because he's inspired by Robin Hood. It's supposed to be a Robin Hood reference.
It does look like Robin Hood. If Robin Hood was like 2 feet tall.
I mean, he's clearly taller than 2 feet. 2 feet, like
3 feet tall.
how tall is Robin supposed to be? 'Cause
It depends on the Robin.
pretty
Like you
short.
talking about like like in the Batman Beyond movie, Tim Drake, pretty short as a kid. He's small. Small lad.
Oh man, I don't have any of my guidebooks just on me. I'd have to stand up and go to the closet to see how tall like Damian Wayne is. Because Damian's pretty young. So he probably isn't like
Do you think Damien's the shortest of the Robins
probably if I had to
at
guess,
any point?
Damian's probably the shortest.
So, now we can see Jed's room.
I mean, I don't know how much of the room you see.
Ew, his room.
Yeah, just like the closet.
Gross.
Let's see if Damien's height is in this book. So this is the DC Comics Encyclopedia
Damien's dick size.
Definitive Guide to the Characters of the DC Universe. This was before Batman Damned, so it's not going to have Batman's dick size in it. Maybe
I don't think
post
they're gonna
Batman Damned guide will have it.
based on the reception to Batman Down, I don't think they're gonna have his dick size in some newer guidebook either.
I mean, they're not showing
Yeah,
his dick.
they're gonna
It's just
pretend like
like
that never happened and never bring it up again. Other people bring it up, but they won't.
Let's see. So let's find Robin's dick. Do you think not Robin's dick? Let's find Robin's height.
Now you're on the real quest.
Okay.
You're like, who can we hit up that would know? All kinds of people, because at one point, Jet kind of had a list of people rubbing it butt. Right?
Damian
Like,
Wayne,
Armire,
I don't think has fucked anybody.
other
He's
people.
too young.
Well, what about that one lady from the other dimension?
You're talking about Jeannie or whatever?
For like her 2 or something.
Wait, woman from the other dimension. Are you talking about his sister Huntress? Because I don't
Yeah.
smashed his. Why would you even bring her up as people he could have smashed?
I thought there was some sort of weird romantic thing going on between them, wasn't there?
No. Also, Damian Wayne is 4'6".
4'6" dick.
So he's pretty short. But he's also like a kid. So not really that short. I don't think.
How old is he?
Average height of like 10 or 11-year-old or whatever. No, he's a teenager. He's not 10 or 11. He's like 13 or something.
He's in the Teen Titans, not in the Baby Titans.
Superman's son John actually wasn't allowed into the Teen Titans because he just wasn't old enough. But Damian was like, but come on, like I vouch for him, he's cool. And they were like, nah, he's just not a teenager. I thought that was interesting.
Isn't he like older now?
I don't know, because when it comes to like superheroes, sometimes you get stuck in like comic book time, so you just don't really get that much older. Yo, if you look up Queen Bee, Queen Bee is thick. I was just flipping through this book. I don't think I could hold it up to the camera properly for you to see it. These big ass fucking pages. But Queen Bee is quite thick. They had to scoot the text over because she's that thick.
Her hat is sticking out at a weird angle.
Mm-hmm.
Relative to like the rest of her, I think.
She's like holding Superman, who I think she has brainwashed. Because I remember reading this in the New 52. I read a lot of New 52 Superman. I read like all of New 52 Superboy.
Does she still live in like Kurak or whatever?
Correct.
Or Iraq?
I mean,
Why would you think it's
you have to
Iraq?
keep in mind that like different versions of characters in different media live in different areas. Like I don't think this queen bee is associated with Karak at all. A matter of fact, her base is in Metropolis. So no, she's not.
So she's like the yeah.
Let me put this guide back real quick because I just brought it up to figure out how tall Robin was.
Well, but you only looked at one Robin, right?
All
Damien.
the other Robins are like adults. What is,
How tall were they when they were a Robin?
it's not gonna have that. It
That's
has
the complaint we need. Like is Damien like below or at average for Robin height?
Why don't we just look at how tall is like the average like 13-year-old or whatever? Wouldn't that tell you? Like how tall is and this is a weird thing to Google. How tall is the average 13-year-old?
People can vary from height in like different countries. Like
Let's
Dutch
see.
people.
61.4 inches. Why don't you have like the foot conversion? That's so weird.
Because people don't even use like feet on the world. All
So
of
like
those billions of people.
what do you mean 5'11"? So I did 61.4 divided by 12 and it was 5.11. So it's 5 foot something.
Is it like 5'1"?
Oh, probably.
I don't know.
Not 5'11". I'm not good at math, but I guess you're right. It's probably 5'1". So Damien, I think, is short. Even for just like other people his. So he probably is like one of the shorter Robins. Because Nightwing grows up and he's like around Batman's height, I think. I think he's like 6 foot. A lot of the characters are like 6 foot when you look into it.
I mean,
Let me put this guy
drawn.
Ryan. Also, are you over there sleeping? You on that sleepy life?
No.
That no introduction life? See, this is
I'll be sleeping. Like I wanted to do a sleep nap before dinner, but then it was dinner time. Like I only had like 45 minutes. I was like, oh no.
I couldn't really hear you. I was like moving books in the closet. What was the
Brr, 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 brr. Why do you have your books in the closet?
what? Why would I cover my desk with all my books? I have like a whole bunch of guidebooks.
How come you don't have like a shelf for your books? A bookshelf.
What shelves have you seen at my apartment? Because you've been here before. When have you seen?
Yeah, but get a shelf.
Why get a shelf?
You have shelves in the closet?
I do have shelves in the closet. I don't put the books on the shelves though. The shelves are like high.
And where are the books in the closet?
They're like in the corner or whatever. They're like stacked up. All the different guides or whatever.
How come you don't put them on a bookshelf?
I don't have a bookshelf. But I also don't need
Get a
it.
bookshelf.
I don't have a whole bunch of stuff here.
Are they just like on the floor?
Yeah. It's carpet
Why
floor.
on the floor? Get a bookshelf.
It's not like people are stepping on. They're not like on the floor around. They're like in the corner. They're like.
Ah.
Let's-
Get a bookshelf.
Okay, so I have a list of like topics that I wrote up. The first topic is Crisis on Infinite Earths happened. Then it was undone by Convergence. Then it happened again. Excuse me, but then it was kind of weird. So, Ryan, you're already familiar with the event Crisis on Infinite Earths. There's a comic event where the
I mean, I'm not all that familiar. Like that it happened.
okay.
I can tell you what
The
happened.
Crisis on Infinite Earth comic event happened back in like 1985. And essentially what happened, well, I guess maybe 1986, within the late 80s. Essentially what happened is that there was an infinite multiverse, and then it went from being an infinite multiverse to being only one Earth that was like a combination of a few different Earths, right? And then that's what got rid of the infinite multiverse. So then there was an event a few years ago called Convergence. And at the end of Convergence, they go back in time and they stop Crisis on Infinite Earths from ever happening. And when they stop the Crisis on Infinite Earths, they get the infinite multiverse back, right? So now When you say like post crisis, it's like post what? Because crisis never happened. But it did happen. Because last year, the CW did Crisis on Infinite Earths. And the CW is in the same multiverse as all the other
You
DC
feel that the
stuff.
CW is just actually the thing from before?
No. The reason why the CW thing isn't the Crisis from before, and the way that I can like prove that it isn't, is because the new 52 gets affected by it, but this should be before the new 52 exists.
What?
Yeah, so like they show the new 52 Earth get affected by the CW crisis. But the new 52,
You mean like New 52 era Earth Zero?
no, like an Earth that's labeled as being the new 52.
Okay.
Yeah. So they do Crisis on Infinite Earths where like the infinite multiverse gets like destroyed or whatever, which would imply that
When?
like, did you say when?
Again.
Again. Yeah, again. Um, but what's weird is that when they finish the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, everyone on the CW like Arrowverse Earth is like the multiverse is gone. We got rid of all the Earths. But
Including Earth 33.
but then they have this clip at the end where they show a whole bunch of the Earths are like back. But then the characters on the Arrowverse Earth don't know that. And they constantly are doing stuff where they're like, well, vibe can't travel through the multiverse anymore because like the vibrational frequencies of everything is different. And they're like, the multiverse doesn't exist. I can't make portals to any of the Earths. They're not there.
How do they even know that? Like, do they have a way of like testing it? Like, is there like a multiverse like science probe they can launch?
Brainiac 5 from the Legion of Superheroes, they have multiple Brainiac 5s after Crisis because there are a whole bunch of like multiversal refugees who don't have Earths anymore to go back to. And a group of Brainiac 5s test to see if they can detect any other universes in the multiverse, and they can't. They're like, there just is no multiverse. They're like, it's just gone. After Crisis on Infinite Earths, there's only one Earth. But the writers of the show have come out on like Twitter and they're like everyone else on Earth Prime, which the CW Earth calls themselves Earth Prime, which is already like a messy thing to talk about. Cisco being Vibe in the Arrowverse,
Yeah.
believes incorrectly that the multiverse is gone, but the end of Crisis shows otherwise. So they're like, we're letting the audience know we didn't actually get rid of the multiverse. But as far as the people on the Arrowverse Earth are aware, and as far as they can detect, the multiverse is gone. So they're like, we can have our cake and eat it too. We can simplify our stories by not having a bunch of like multiverse Earth hopping, but then at the same time, we can do it without getting rid of the multiverse.
Why can't they detect the other places?
That hasn't really been explained. Like, there's a
Brainiac
scene,
5, you slipping.
agreed. There's a scene where Brainiac 5 is talking to like another version of himself, and he's like,
Brainiac 4.
well, it's another Brainiac 5, but just from another Earth. And
How come we don't see the other like
Brainiac
Brainiac
numbers?
2, 3, and 4?
I think there are stories that have other numbered Brainiacs, but Brainiac 5 is popular because he's the one from Legion of Superheroes.
I know, but like 2, 3, and 4 though.
Are they on teams? Because that's the
I don't know. Like it's like 1,000 years between like Brainiac 1 with Superman and like the Legion of Superheroes with Superman
so
and Brainiac
have
5.
when would you even have like Brainiac 2? Like, is Brainiac 2 a thing that happens within like the next 100 years or so?
You have like a whole like thousand. So you can have like a Brainiac every like 200 years or something ish.
But we
You
don't
know?
have a whole bunch of stories that take place like slightly in the future like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's like a whole like 900-year like time skip. You just don't know what's happening.
We have like the current time stuff, Batman Beyond, which isn't that far
Still
in the
only it's like
future.
less than 100 years,
Right. And
40 years or something.
you have stuff like is Kamandi like in between then at some point? Kamandi is the last boy on Earth. It's like a post-apocalyptic. I'd have to check the multiverse map, which I actually have a link to in the topic list. Convenient. Do, 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 do. I just need to remember which Earth is the Kamandi Earth, though. But I'm wondering how far in the future is the Kamandi stuff. DC 1 million goes way beyond like the Legion of Superheroes stuff because it's like I think the year 1 million is supposed to be the idea behind that. So it's like really far in the future. Do 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 do. So let's see how far in the future Kamandi is. Do 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 do. Oh, Earth 8, by the way, I think is the Earth that's like it's Marvel, but it's not really Marvel because we don't have the rights to it.
So which is the image that's like that too,
Um, I
with
have
the
to
diamond?
find the image Earth. I shouldn't have clicked on Earth 18 because now it's trying to load Earth 18. Well, no, I clicked on Earth 8, not Earth 18. Yeah, so Earth 8 is the
No, when you say Marvel, or do you mean like where all the Marvel characters are in like a crossover way? They just
no, no,
can't
no, no, no.
do anything.
It's
Or
where like
do you
all the
mean
Marvel XBs are,
okay?
like characters that are essentially
Like Star,
offs of
it's
the
totally
Marvel
just
character.
Spider, but without all the things that make Spider. Like he looks like Spider Man, kinda. The costume, kinda.
Wait, are you talking about Sideways? Who are you talking about?
No, no, no. For Savage Jet, Star.
Oh, Star. Yeah, because Star's like an XB of Spider-Man. Savage Dragon has a lot of XBs of people,
I would say it's expert. I'd say like his design is inspired by, it. But like
but also
and
that he
the guy's name
moves and whips around in the Savage
what?
Dragon universe. Because I read like the Star miniseries, and he just does
Yeah,
a lot of Spider-Man-esque stuff. Like,
yeah. He's got his little ninja stars.
right, and they have like wires on him, and he like swings from like he does a whole bunch of Spider-Man like pose stuff.
He's very Spider Man's.
Hmm.
Turn out the dark. Oh, they're all dead. Oh no.
Right now, I'm looking for that. Oh, Earth 41 is the Image XB Earth in the DC universe, where they have Dino Cop as their like Savage Dragon equivalent. Oh, Kamandi is Earth 51. Let's see how far in the future Kamandi is. If it'll load. I don't know why it's so slow. But soon we'll have an idea of something that's in between, I think, Batman Beyond, excuse me, and Justice League 3000. Because Justice League 3000 would have
Year 3000.
mountains
People
change, but we
live
live
underwater.
underwater. Let's see.
Great, great,
Great
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 grand.
granddaughter is
Fine.
divine, doing
Yeah.
fine. Some Jonas Brothers. So let's see. I don't know how many years in the future it's supposed to be. Like I'm reading the description of it, and I still don't know when it happened. For Kamandi, I'm like trying to scan the page for where it like mentions how many years it is from us. It just may not. It just may never say.
In the year 25, 25.
Let's.
Have you never heard that song?
So
It's pretty cool.
I don't know how far Kamandi's supposed to be. The world may never know. But yeah, what do you think of the fact that post-crisis used to mean like post 1986, but now post-crisis should really mean like post like 2019 or whatever?
We'll take the crisis and push it over here.
Pretty much that is what ended up happening. Um, And it is interesting that now it's the only crisis that really happened. Well, it's weird to say the only crisis that ever happened. There are other crisis events, but it's the only crisis on Infinite Earths that really happened, I guess. You would only really expect there to be one. Um, oh, I have more topics. Let me go back to the topic list. Do some topic shit. Okay, yeah. The topic number 2. Fifth dimensional imps are strong enough to wipe out the multiverse. So, in the Batman Superman annual that came out like this week, Mr. Mixelplix and Batmite are trying to force Batman and Superman to fight to figure out who would win in a fight. So one of the ways that they force them to fight is they make Superman like the reason for why the multiverse is being destroyed. So they,
Oh yeah, metaverse shit.
so they show like universes essentially getting like Thanos snapped, and they're like, yo, like the multiverse is just dying. And Mr. Terrific is like, we're trying the best we can to figure out why the multiverse is dying. And based on all our scans and all our research, it's you, Superman. Something about you is destroying the multiverse. And
It's
at first,
the metaverse.
all the heroes are like,
You laugh, but
I
this
mean,
was happening, right?
it's
Like what's his name?
Dr.
The
Manhattan.
yeah, Dr. Manhattan's like, yo, I knew this would happen to happen, and now it's happening.
So it's not that. Like I explained before, it's the fifth dimensional imps trying to make Batman and Superman fight. It's not the metaverse thing.
But
So
what if they're just doing the metaverse thing?
they could be, but they don't have to because they're like gods. You know, if they choose to make Superman be the reason why the multiverse is dying, that's all they have to do to then make that the case. Which is pretty impressive. But essentially, when they realize that Superman's the reason why the multiverse is dying, they're all like, "Well, that's fine, Superman. We'll figure something out. Something must be wrong. Like we'll be able to figure out what's going on." Then the Bat family gets Thanos snapped, and then Batman's like, "Woo!" and he like punches Superman in the face. Like he's so ready to like kill him. Like right then, like my boy pulls the kryptonite ring.
He's like, I wasn't done having sex. That girl.
So
Ooh.
then the Justice League is like, calm down, Batman. Like, we'll figure something out. Like, we'll figure. And then they get Thanos snapped. And then Batman's like, nobody's restricted you. I'm just gonna kill you. But Superman realizes that something's wrong and that they're like getting manipulated or whatever. But I find it really crazy.
Real disturbance in the metaverse.
Is it because he's tied to the metaverse that he can sense reality's getting fucked with? Who
I mean, I don't know.
um
Because, I mean, he is some sort of cosmic pin, right?
he is a cosmic linchpin. We don't really know why though. Even Dr. Manhattan's like, I don't know why Superman's so important, but he just is. Yeah. Um, but don't you think it's impressive, Ryan, that the fifth dimensional imps on a whim can just be like, we're just destroying universes?
I mean, Thanos can do it.
Yeah, but Thanos has to get like, well, for one, we haven't seen Thanos in the MCU destroy any universes. I'm talking about like whole Earths are shown getting Thanos snapped. Not like the
And
people,
the
the
Earth,
planets.
you mean representation on the universe map.
True, representations of like universes getting like snapped away. Um, I don't think I've ever seen the imps do anything on that level before, where you see multiple universes get killed at once like it's nothing. Um,
In any of those universes, is one of the universes just not Earth? Like, couldn't you just have, like, Mars on one of the Earths? Just be,
you
like, red or
could,
something?
but they don't do that. You know,
Why not?
there are some interesting questions about like for each of the Earths on the multiverse map, what are their Mars equivalent like? They could do a whole thing like that. They could be like, what are all their like Thanagar equivalents like? Like what are their like Hawkman worlds like? Or Ron
What are their
equivalent
Green Lanterns?
Oa's like? That's a good question. We don't know.
Well, in Batman Beyond, it's the same, but just like 40 years later.
Well, in Batman Beyond, their Green Lantern is very like Avatar Aang like. The comics will explore that further if you decide to read
Yeah, I know.
Justice League Beyond stuff.
But like, I mean, like everyone else though.
Well,
So it's
Batman
just
Beyond
one Green Lantern.
is just supposed to be current time but farther in the future. So it's not
Right.
supposed to be super different. Like, yeah,
Right.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
Um, oh, you know how you keep talking about like each comic should be like its own universe, like individual
I mean,
issue and
if
stuff?
you want it to be, makes
So
sense. You know.
before Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Titans TV show and the Doom Patrol TV show were the same universe. Like there's like crossover between the shows. Like
Yeah, like Power Rangers.
Power Rangers has a whole bunch of stuff. I'll talk about that soon. But essentially, the way that we get introduced to the Doom Patrol show is through the Titans show. But then after Crisis on Infinite Earths, they're like Doom Patrol and Titans are on like totally different Earths in the multiverse. And I don't know why they decided to do that. Because the Doom Patrol show is canon to Titans, and Titans is canon to Doom Patrol, but not anymore? Question mark. Like, did they still meet
I mean,
each other?
people are,
Man,
but they're in different universes now, so it doesn't matter.
but is that to say that if the Doom Patrol runs into Titans again, that it's like we're running into the Titans from like the other Earth, or
Titans
like this is
East.
our Earth's Titans? Like, what's going on with that?
Titans East of our universe.
I missed part of what you said.
I said Titans East of our universe.
Titans East. That's the difference now. It's like we didn't meet the Titans before because the Titans are on the other coast in our universe.
I mean, I don't know. Are they?
I don't know. Um,
They could, like, Doom Patrol could be in a world where Titans East is just the main group. Like, that's just the group.
true. It's really weird when they do stuff like that, where they take something that was like unified before and then they separate it. Because I'm used to them doing it the other way around, where like after a crisis, to simplify things, you put worlds together. You don't normally like rip them.
In the year 3000.
Now you mentioned Power Rangers earlier. So the Power Rangers multiverse has like the Ninja Turtles in it because they recently did a crossover in the comics. But it also has DC in it. So Power Rangers are in the DC multiverse because they did a
I
crossover
mean,
with Justice League.
yeah.
Um,
Ninja Turtle is also in the Image. They're in that New York. Even though that New York got, like, kind of fucked up a lot.
yeah.
Savage Dragon.
I mean, Ninja Turtles are in
Also
a
just,
lot
like,
of.
destroyed. Like, there's no more Detroit. Detroit got, like, entirely, like, obliterated by a Kill Cat and his group.
Mhm.
The Mars attacks. There's just, like, no Detroit. I'm like, Dart, you're, like, from Detroit. Do you not, like, care? Because it doesn't sound like she ever mentions it. That, like, everyone she knew in Detroit is just dead now.
I mean, Dark can be pretty cold blooded. Maybe she's like everyone in Detroit underestimated me. That's all that ever happens to them.
It's like, are your family in Detroit? Like, do you have a like everyone would just be dead.
When it comes to like
The
whole
only people
city,
who are still in Detroit is like Killcat, because they
even though
wouldn't
it's
let him in
destroyed, what does he do there?
He's just sitting in the dirt. I don't know. There's just no city anymore. Where
So
does he live?
when it comes
I
to
don't know where he lives.
the Power
Somewhere else,
Rangers thing,
Chicago maybe.
um, I like that we went from Power Rangers to like Ninja Turtles because Ninja Turtles are in a lot of different universes as well.
They can just be wherever. Comics.
Um, Ninja Turtles appear in Injustice 2, and so does Hellboy. So like Hellboy and
Yeah,
Ninja
Hellboy's an image too.
yeah. They're definitely in both those universes, in Image and in DC. Ninja Turtles, they connect to a lot of people like very directly. So they connect to Power Rangers directly in multiple ways. They
Batman.
connect to DC directly.
Batman.
Um, I said Ninja Turtles were in a whole bunch of stuff, and then I was like, oh, bet.
And image.
Name more things. They were in like Teen Titans Go, but that's still DC. Like I'm not connecting them to anything other than DC at that.
Like image, Power Rangers, and DC.
Oh wait, am I connecting Power Rangers stuff or Ninja Turtle stuff?
No, Ninja Turtles.
Oh, Ninja Turtles. Okay, Ninja Turtles were in Teen Titans Go. They were in Injustice 2. They were in the Batman Ninja Turtles crossovers for the comics and the movies because they're different. So they must be like their own independent universes as well.
Or in Savage Dragon.
True, the Ninja Turtles were in Savage Dragon. The Ninja Turtles appear in the Power Rangers in Space comic, but I don't think those are the same Ninja Turtles that appear in the more recent Power Rangers Ninja Turtles comics. Those are like two different Ninja Turtles, I think, crossing over at that point. So that gets kind of funky. Um, the Ninja Turtles, because they were able to go to the Teen Titans Go universe, not only establishes them in the DC multiverse, but it also establishes them in like the Cartoon Network multiverse. So they fit into that. But the Ninja Turtles were also in like a Nickelodeon kart racers game. So they're also like in the Nickelodeon multiverse as well.
Nickelodeon doesn't really have much in the way of a multiverse, do they?
Well, hold on. As a kid, I used to play all those like Heroes Unite video games where like they got all the people together. So in the context of those, they're definitely like a united like world thing. You know?
Mm.
How else do they get together in kart race if they're not all in the same universe, right?
Right, it's like the what's his name? Um, Brian something? Brian Michael
Oh,
Cooper.
are you talking about Brian Michael Bendis?
No, the other one.
The other
The one
who?
from YouTube.
YouTube Brian? Who's YouTube Brian?
The one that does like the those like polygon videos.
Oh,
What's his
oh. You got me fucked up. I gotta look him up. Polygon Kirby is what I'm gonna look up. Because his face, yeah. I know that face. If only I knew what his YouTube channel was.
he has a YouTube channel.
I know he has a YouTube channel, like outside of Polygon. Because it's just his name. Like if I knew that, I could have just said what it
Well,
was.
isn't in the description you just find his name on like the Kirby video, right?
Let's find out. This other computer is so slow compared to my main computer. Right now it's playing a Crash Bandicoot ad, but the rest of the site is like entirely white.
No, I'm
David
subscribed
Gilbert.
to his
That's
channel. I
his
can
name.
just what was his name?
Brian David Gilbert.
Yeah. Someone Brian Gilbert. So he had that Zelda timeline video where he also put in stuff like Smash and like Mario Kart,
Mm-hmm.
like Zelda chests or Zelda Monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had like the board games in there. And Jet's like, yeah, I mean the Ninja Turtles, they're in the Mario Karts.
Well, they're in the
Nickelodeon
racers or
version of
whatever.
them.
Yeah. We did something similar where we talked about Smash. When we brought up how Mortal Kombat connects to like the DC universe, and then Mortal Kombat 9 had Kratos in it from God of War, and then Kratos from God of War is in like PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale, and then Raiden
Yeah,
from Metal Gear
and then and
Solid
then
is in that.
and then because those guys connect to DC, and DC connects to Scooby Doo, and Scooby Doo connects to John Cena. Dun, 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 dun.
And then Raiden from PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale connects to Snake from Smash Brothers. So then you get all the Smash Brothers stuff.
I mean, isn't Snake only in like one Smash Brothers though?
He's in at least two, because Smash Brothers Ultimate has everybody, and then
Oh,
Snake was in Brawl.
okay.
Speaking of Smash, they recently introduced like a whole bunch of Minecraft stuff. It looks like they have multiple Minecraft stages. It looks like as a part of the move set, they're able to place blocks and stuff, which seems interesting. You can play as Steve from Minecraft, the chick from Minecraft. I don't remember her name. You can play as the zombie from Minecraft.
Is it a zombie or is it like the
They're zombies, not
thing that
the
explodes?
creepers.
Like
The
it
no no
brings
no the zombies specifically.
like the skeletons?
You
Oh, you mean this? Yeah, okay. I
Yeah,
know.
the literal zombies that are in the thing. And then you can
Ah,
play as the I think it's the Enderman dude, like the all black guy. Like you can play as him too. I was surprised that they let you be all those different people, and I was surprised by the move set. I think like the super move that they showed involved you like putting somebody in a place that has like a bunch of TNT or something and like blowing it up.
mm-hmm.
And then the victory screen for the Minecraft guy, he rapidly builds a house and then he goes in it and then he comes out of the door and that's his victory. And I thought that was really weird. It's a nice stunt, I guess. But as someone who's not a big like Smash Brothers guy, and I'm also not a big Minecraft guy, I still feel like they did a good job with it and made.
Yeah, but Lego Worlds.
Yeah, but we're never gonna get Lego in Smash because Smash only accepts people who originate from video games. If you came from a non-video game source, you can't be in Smash. That's their answer to when people go, "Why isn't SpongeBob in Smash?" Or "Why isn't Goku in Smash?" They're like, "Because they're not
I know,
video
I
game
know.
characters."
You need to find better video game only characters then.
I think it would be cool if they had Sora from like Kingdom Hearts and Smash. There are plenty of games I don't care about, but I still would be kind of interested in if they put the like character from it in Smash, though. I like seeing characters from different games be
We're not in there?
fighting game movesets.
Like, why?
Why isn't Sora in Smash?
I, oh.
Because there's just so many other characters that they've like put in like.
Or like the kind of ideal character you would want. Like he's already like a fighting game with his Keyblade thing.
Well, Sora's not a fight. He's not in a fighting game. He's in a game where he fight. He's like in an action adventure game. But I get what you mean. They have
Sure,
like
but it's also like a really popular series.
maybe it's because they can't do any of the Disney stuff. Because a part of like Sora's really big flashy moves is he'll like team up with a Disney person. So it'd be like
Oh,
how do you get that without like a weird rights thing.
oh yeah.
Um,
I mean, you could just have him hit stuff with the Keyblade.
True. But some people might be disappointed that he can't do Disney stuff because that is a part of his.
I mean, would they be disappointed? Like, you'd either offset that by just having him in Smash. Like, that's good enough, right? He's just here.
Maybe I don't know. I guess tell us in the comment section below. Would you guys vibe with Sora in Smash if he had?
You could also just, like, let them use the Disney references for their character. You know, like, I don't.
Maybe it depends
What
on
if
how
they want
comfortable
it?
they're with it. You know, would Disney charge an arm and a leg for that? And then how
No.
would it be to get Sora in future games? You know.
No.
Ah. Um. So I'm trying to think. They haven't crossed over Disney and Marvel stuff yet, have they? Were there any Marvel characters in Wreck-It Ralph 2? Because Wreck-It Ralph 2 has Star Wars stuff in it.
Does?
Yeah, so in Wreck-It Ralph 2, he goes into the internet.
Oh, right, yeah, he does the Disney stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I remember Star Wars, and they had a bunch of the Disney princesses. Um, and their little Disney.
Stan Lee cameo, and apparently there are other Marvel characters featured.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, there's when they go to like the internet version of like Disneyland, there's a whole like Marvel
Yeah,
section. Yeah.
sure.
So that's the closest. Is that the closest we've gotten to a Disney Marvel crossover? Because they own both things, so it's not hard for them to do it. They would just want. They just need
Is
to want,
that what you mean by Disney Marvel? Like, what other Disney like property are they crossing over?
like Mickey Mouse and shit like that.
Why would you
Oh, they
do that?
did do fucking Phineas and Ferb in like the Avengers team up. I
That's
forgot all about
true. That's true.
that.
Phineas and Ferb also did a Star Wars one.
It is interesting that Phineas and Ferb is where they're trying to mush those. Oh, and Spider-Man crossed over with Jesse. I remember that. That's
It happened, didn't it? Oh gosh. Yeah, see, they have crossovers on the Disney Channel, don't you know?
yeah, they do. Um, who else has Jesse crossed over with?
Yeah. I mean, like, because if it was like the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, they could cross over with everyone.
True. Let's see. Uh,
Well, there's also this crossovers with like the Disney, like Toon Disney cartoon. You like Lilo and Stitch crossed over with
Lilo
hella
and
people.
Stitch crossed over with everybody. We did a video on
All
that
you need to
before.
do is get someone who crossed over with like Jesse to there to make that connection. I don't know if Jesse really did a whole bunch of other crossovers though, like the way that they used to on like in those like Zack and Cody movie eras.
So right
Like I don't
now, I'm on the
know.
Jesse crossover page on the Wikia.
Really,
So Jesse's Aloha Holiday. I don't know who they crossed over with. Let's see. Is the season finale of season 3. It's a crossover with Liv and Maddie. I don't know what Liv and Maddie is. So
Rick and Maddie is one of the other Disney Channel sitcoms.
Ryan's like,
Yeah,
don't worry, I know what
they're
Liv
like
and Maddie is.
a bunch of cartoons, like Spider Man. You know,
Uh, Ghostess with the Mostess. What is this crossover with? Maybe it'd be easier to figure out what Phineas and Ferb crosses over with. They probably have something that's like more relevant.
I don't know. I mean, they have those episodes where they do the properties.
Wait,
Uh,
the fucking Star Wars one work, Ryan? Is it like a universe portal or something?
it, no, it's more like they're just like in a Star Wars setting.
What? So it's not even a crossover then?
I mean, I don't think like because like in the Avengers thing, it's like the event, like a couple of the event, like Iron Man, like I think Thor and the Hulk or whatever, are just like here.
Spider-Man
Right?
also was there.
But in the Star Wars thing, it's more like they're just like, what if Phineas was like a Luke Skywalker looking dude, and everything is just Star Wars now for an episode. But
Okay.
there's not like separate like characters showing. I don't think that's what's happening.
Oh, Phineas and Ferb are in Disney Infinity? Oh shit, Disney Infinity might be the easiest way to cross over a whole bunch of shit then. Because that already has all the Star Wars and
Yeah,
Marvel
but is
and
that
Disney.
canon in like a TV show kind of way?
So Marvel has like universe designations for stuff. So my question would be, is Disney Infinity in the Marvel multiverse?
It is. And maybe
Because Marvel's multiverse is also infinite.
yeah, that would be the thing is, are all of those other like Disney Infinity versions the same versions as like the ones from the TV show? You know, like because like in terms of like Kingdom Hearts, you know, like Toy Story, it's just like the same guys, right?
Right.
I don't know if that applies to something like Disney Infinity.
Well, Disney Infinity, even if it's like this Hulk and Iron Man and Thor are from Earth, da na 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 na, it still shows that like it crosses over with the rest of the stuff.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Now for Fortnite, it is like our universe's like Thor and shit like that, which is really weird. Um, Fortnite is the modern like Marvel DC crossover thing. That's like the closest thing we have right now. That's not like a vague crossover because they love
Yeah,
to do that now. Um,
Eric Larson had a.
did you say Eric Larson had ass?
Yeah, he had like
To do
Batman and
vague.
Superman. All those people at the wedding. Green Lantern, I'm pretty sure was at the, or one of the Green Lantern. Was it Kyle Rayner?
Did he
They
have
had
like a
some
funky looking costume?
on his head. It was like a guy with like a Green Lantern mask and like dark hair.
Wow, really narrowing it down.
I mean, you got like, this is like where you have like the Thing's arm or like his leg was in that shot. You
Yeah,
like you
but
it's
the
really the
thing's
Thing.
arm is very like you know it's the thing.
Yeah, right. Like
You're trying to
there's a bunch of
determine which
that
Green
happening,
Lantern it is, and you're like
and then
dark hair and a mask.
like I
So that could be Hal, maybe, depending on like how dark the hair is.
sure. I think
Yeah,
it was standing next to another DC hero. I don't remember. Um, because like Superman, like they mentioned that they invited Superman like in the dialogue.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Savage Dragons crossed over with Super. Wait, has that happened already? Where you're? Well, how do
I
you
mean, they
how do
like
you know
like
where that
Batman's
falls?
half of his head was in that one bar. They kind of like make allusions and references to these characters in some way that like they're like talking about the Fantastic Four's wedding.
Do you know when the Savage Dragon Superman crossover happens? Like in continuity?
Is that in a mainline issue or is that like a side?
It's in like its own thing. They have Metropolis and Chicago are the two like crossovers. So you might have to figure like it might have already happened and you just
I could
didn't-
look at the date for that and then just guess that it's similar enough, probably in the time. Or I could just keep reading, and someone will probably ask in the letters pages, and
like
he'll
when
tell
did
them.
it happen?
Because that happens a bunch. People are just asking those kind of questions. He's like, yeah, this thing happened between like issues number 38 and 39. You know, stuff like that. Keeping the chronology straight.
January 1st, 1999 maybe based on
Yeah, I'm in like
Amazon
97.
M tree.
So that's in like 2 years from now.
I don't know if this is accurate though. I was on Amazon earlier today looking at a Superman book, and it says in the title December 21st, 2010, and then right next to it it says hardcover January 1st, 1657. And I'm like, well, that's just not right, Amazon. I don't know how you fucked that up.
1657? What
Yeah,
was happening in the year 1650? Here, let me look. 1650. I'll get you.
Ryan's about to jump on Wikipedia. Let's see. Is there another source that I can use to verify this information? Yep. Well, this one says January 1999. So, well, no, this one says November 1999. So, yeah, I guess the Superman Savage Dragon crossover stuff is a few years away from where you're currently at.
There was a great fire in Edo that destroyed most of the city, damages the Edo castle, and killed an estimated 100,000 people in like March in 1657. It sounds like a big deal.
So, earlier you gave a recommendation to a show that you'd been watching. Real quick, I'm going to give an album recommendation for anyone who's interested in like rap stuff. Young Gravy recently released a ton of tracks from his album Gasanova. So if you're into like Baby No Money or like Young Gravy, or if you wanted to see Young Gravy do like some interesting features that you've never heard him do before, definitely check out Gasanova. He also has a track that uses the theme song for Always Sunny in Philadelphia that's really good. So yeah, just wanted to give him a quick shout out. Uh,
So we're all over Cromwell stuff. It has this date unknown.
you're
So it's like approximate stuff in this year. So it's like coffee is introduced to France, and England's first chocolate house is opened in London.
This is the most well lit you've ever been, Ryan. This is very well. You're doing a good job.
I mean, because normally I was like having the computer like over here, but it's also the Wikipedia page is like a whiter screen.
Hmm.
Like it's not on like dark mode, night mode. So like it's like just more well lit. Like if I go back to like Facebook or something, right?
Right. Let's see. Um, the next topic that I have written up, VTubers are becoming increasingly popular. So I told you about VTubers like a few days ago, but it wasn't on the podcast. Essentially, there are a bunch of YouTubers, excuse me, and Twitch streamers who now have like anime avatars where when they move, the anime avatar moves. And some are simple like 2D images that are just like an anime character's head. So imagine like the same way that you see Ryan and I on the screen, you see like an anime character instead of us. Like it's superimposed over them so that you don't actually see them. Some of them are just heads. Some of them are like head and then like the upper body. Some of them are like tracking arm movements. So it actually will show like the anime character like expressing and like moving their hands and stuff. And some are like full body like rigs where they'll do a stream and they're in virtual reality. And you just see like the whole anime avatar doing stuff in like VR. But what's interesting about it is that there's like a Giguk video where he talks about how the streamers, not all of them are just like, it's just me, but you see an anime avatar. Some of them are like role playing, and like the entire account is like, I'm X fictional character, and that's what you see on screen. And they could be doing something like playing like Fortnite, but it's like they're not them. They're like Acha-chan or whatever, and it's like an anime girl playing Fortnite. And Giga talks about how like it's kind of like a new form of entertainment. He compares it to wrestling, where it's like you know wrestling's fake, but it presents itself like it's a sport, but it's like a combination of like sport and drama. He's like these streamers who have like these character personas that they play as they're like doing the VTuber stuff. So they have an anime character. He's like, you know, they're playing a fake character. That's kind of the point. Like they're pretending to be a character, but at the same time, you're seeing them do like a like the normal streamer thing, whether or not they're like talking to the audience and answering questions, or they're like playing a game or something. And he's like, it's just kind of a new genre that's becoming just more and more popular. Giga gives like a whole history of VTubers in his video, and he talks about how like it became pretty popular in Japan, but it kind of just stayed in Japan because most of them were Japanese. Even though he says there's a big fan community who will subtitle the videos so that people in English can still like watch them and enjoy them.
So on Twitter, there's like conflicting things on this. What's happening trending thing. So it says like uh it says President Trump was administered supplemental oxygen at
Oh
the
wait,
White House.
you're doing political stuff. When is this is hard switch?
No, but like the two things contradict each other. Like this thing
What?
says, according to the New York Times and AP, he had an oxygen tank, and then according to BuzzFeed News, he didn't have an oxygen tank.
Who gives a fuck
Sounds like
about BuzzFeed News?
BuzzFeed News has legit news though,
What? I mean, I guess I
and they've had that for a
your
while.
source. Like, which one do you believe to be more trustworthy? I guess.
It's just interesting that they're both on this like Twitter sidebar trending, but they're both contradictory.
Sure, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't personally keep up with politics that much. I would say if I had to,
There's just the dueling like sources going on.
but
These
they're not
not
even
even what
sources that I
you're
see as
talking about.
equivalent, though. You know what I mean? Like, if you said that, like, New York Times said something, and then, like, some equivalent to the New York Times, because I don't know, like, would you consider the Washington Post to be as credible as New York Times? Or would you be like New York Times?
None of them are more credible than the other. Like credibility is just about like having sources for your information, like who you're quoting, like who the journalists are quoting.
Well, who is like BuzzFeed getting their information from versus who like New York
Oh,
Times is getting their information from?
yeah.
Well, have you checked that? Because you're like, they're
Oh,
conflicting.
like I haven't looked at their articles or anything.
Then why even bring it up? Like, it seems like a
So what about the
premature
Twitter
topic.
thing?
Though Twitter to me is kind of garbage because you don't have a lot to go off of. It's like very limited
You know, but not
for
to go
everything.
off of.
I would say like to me it's not enough to really have a discussion on other than to say
I didn't
they
say to.
conflict.
Oh my gosh, Jet. It was just a thing I saw when I opened up Twitter.
Sure, I'm just saying there's not like a lot of substance
And
to it.
stop talking about it.
You're the one who brought it up.
Yeah, so
So going back to the VTubers thing, I do think the VTuber thing is interesting. And there are now people who are already popular American YouTubers who are like, I now have like a VTuber like avatar or whatever that I'm gonna start using. Pokimane recently revealed that she had like a VTuber avatar. Um, so it might be like a not too distant future where you just see more and more YouTubers who do have like an anime character that they either use as an avatar, but they're still kind of being themselves. They just represent themselves with an anime character that animates when they move. But you may also start seeing more of an influx of these persona anime characters, where it's like they're playing the role of a fictional character while they stream. Um, I'm just curious to see how that grows and evolves over time. Because right now it's like a lot of anime characters, but it doesn't have to be anime. You know, you could use the same technology and be like, I'm streaming, but it looks like Wolverine is like talking and moving, you know, stuff like that. Um, so I'm just curious to see how this develops across YouTube, but also maybe how it might be used by like companies in the future. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid and I was interested in animation that at a certain point technology might get so good to where you don't really need animators anymore because it could be a thing where you walk in a room and you move around and a character just animates along with your movements or whatever. So if you're like waving or clapping your hands or talking or expressing differently, you may not need someone to like draw all that out. You could just have like a character rig and then you just act out and the character does what you do. And it seems like we are getting closer and closer to that just kind of being a thing. VTubers being like a mainstream example of that, to where it's very accessible for someone like me or you to be able to do this kind of thing without putting in like a huge investment in order to do it. Um, I would ask what are your thoughts on that, but I'm almost guaranteed you're just looking at the thing from Twitter about like the BuzzFeed thing and the New York Times. Ooh, I see the smile. I
no, I'm just looking at other Twitter. I'm
Okay.
just scrolling through normal Twitter.
hmm But I do think the VTuber thing is cool, and we'll probably see more of that. Oh, I have another topic. There's this guy, I can't remember his name, but he's been checking out my AI dungeon videos for a while, and he's been telling me, hey, I'm working on my own version of AI dungeon. And he's like, it's going to be way better than AI dungeon. And I've always kind of taken it.
Boy Dungeon 2.
But he finally has released a video about like his thing that he's making. It's powered by GPT-3, which is similar text prediction technology to what AI Dungeon uses. Though I think only the premium version of AI Dungeon is using GPT-3. I think the normal version is using GPT-2. Anyways, it's called Lit RPG Adventures, GPT-3 powered fantasy content generator. and it's essentially a bunch of like content generators for stuff like, oh, I want like a character generated by like a computer, or I want like a setting generated by a computer. But it's using this like top of the line technology to do it, but you have to get like a subscription to use it. Um, and I honestly don't really like it. Like to give my honest review of it. So the reason why I don't like it is because there are already things that exist like Seventh Sanctum that aren't using GPT-3 technology, but it lets you do stuff like, oh, I want to have a character for a story that I'm working on. And just go to the character generator and it give you like a quick description, and then you use that description in your story and you build off of it or whatever. With lit RPG adventures, they're like it costs money, but it doesn't just cost like a down payment of you pay once and then you have it. It costs like a regular subscription amount of money. And then I think just because it's using GPT-3 doesn't necessarily make it better than a normal like content generator. Because
Well, look at this thing where it's talking about bread, right? You want to hear about this bread?
why would you haven't given me like a pitch that convinces me that the bread is interesting?
Is Subway's bread really bread?
If it's not bread, but it's passable as bread, I don't care.
Okay, so this thing says
Uh,
Ireland's Supreme Court has ruled that Subway's bread contains too much sugar to be legally considered bread under the country's sales tax law. In Ireland,
okay.
the bread, which has 0% value added tax, shall not exceed 2% of the weight of flour included in the dough. Subway's bread has a 10% ratio, and thus the sub roll is considered a cake. Thus has a value added tax rate of. So they're like, there's too much sugar in this bread from like Subway's, like sandwiches. So it's a cake.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
There's a South Park episode that talks about the what was the Whopper that's entirely plant based? What was it called again? Like the
I mean, there's a
Whopper
couple.
or
There
something?
was like it was something burger.
I thought it was the
I
alt.
think they had it
I
in the
might be
Waffle
wrong.
too. Yeah, like the Amazing Burger or something.
Oh, the Impossible Whopper
Yeah,
is what it
Impossible
was.
Burger.
So for the South Park episode that talked about the Impossible Whopper, they do this thing where the cafeteria changes to like doing like non-meat based product or whatever. So it's like not actual meat, it's all like plant based. And at the end of the day, they were like, it doesn't really matter. Like if it tastes right or whatever, like if it's passable, then you just eat it. It's not like a thing to really make like a big deal about or whatever. And that's how I feel about the Subway bread. Like, ooh, it has like more sugar in it or
It's
whatever.
not. It's not that it's like taste or anything. It's just about like they're like legally this is cake.
So like, is the interest in that the idea of like legal definitions of food products? Like, what's the like? How do you go further in that for like discussion?
Not everything has to have a further discussion. It's just like this is a neat thing
But what's
on the
neat?
internet.
But what's neat about it is the question, right? Because a lot of things that I think are cool are things that you can like talk about more, and that's like why they're cool.
Uh,
I don't know. But let's see. I mean, it's not like now that they're legally like cake that you're gonna see Subway bread at like your local Walmart in like the cake section or something. Or like now they're gonna make subs but they frost them. Like that'd be weird though. I don't know. I could see someone maybe trying to make like a parody of the situation and they like order like a Subway sandwich but like no ingredient, like just the bread, and then they like frost it and then they do a review of the new Subway cake or something like that. Like that could be interesting potentially. Um Maybe someone goes to Subway for their birthday and they order the cake and they say so the Subway employee's like, "We don't have cake." And he goes, "Legally you do." I know you have cake. Give me the cake. The court says you have cake. It's my birthday. Maybe they could do something like that. Um, but I don't know. Those are like a few skits I guess you could get off of it. Do you have anything extra to say about the Subway cake? Does that mean instead of a meatball sub, they sell like a meatball cake? Like, what's the definition of like a sub sandwich? Ryan just stops talking. He just plays with his hair and looks around the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Do do do
Uh,
do. What's the definition of a sandwich even? Actually, now I think about it.
you look up hot dog.
So, a submarine sandwich, also known as a sub, hoagie, hero, or grinder, is a type of sandwich made from a cylindrical bread roll split lengthwise and filled with meats, cheeses, vegetables, and condiments. Okay, bet. So, if a submarine sandwich has to be a cylindrical bread roll, but cake is not bread, then
What do you
sub.
think is bread?
Well, you're like, it's not legally bread. It has to be like a cake.
Like in Ireland, what Subway is calling their bread,
Is
Ireland
actually cake.
Waffle is calling cake.
Right. What that shows that cake in that regard is not bread. Right?
I guess.
Right. So if the Subway sandwich bread isn't bread, it's cake, then is it really a submarine sandwich? Or is it just a cake with a bunch of like vegetables and meat and like sauce and stuff in between?
Yeah, what would you call something? It's like essentially a sandwich, but that the bread is actually cake, actual cake, right?
Right.
Chocolate. Like, what would you call that? Like, is it still a sandwich, or is it something categorically different?
Right.
Like, if
Because you can have stuff like an ice cream sandwich, and that's using like wafer cookies or
you know what I mean, like what you take like some ice cream, put it between two pieces of bread, be like, yeah, it's an ice cream sandwich. What do you look at me for?
well, yeah, well, it's a thing where an ice cream sandwich also doesn't use conventional bread, but we still call it a sandwich. Was what I was
It
saying with that.
resembles like a sandwich because it's got the two layers.
Well, the Subway sandwiches definitely resemble sandwiches because I didn't even know that it
Right.
was cake until like a second ago. So a sandwich is an item of food consisting of two pieces of bread. See, it always comes down to the bread part, right? If we're saying that cake is not bread,
Okay,
you can't call
so
cake
the
bread.
stuff on like the ice cream sandwich that's between, what is that? Like some sort of bread-like
It's
substance,
a
but
wafer.
it's a
I looked this up before. It's like two wafers wrapped around like ice cream. Though you also have the
wafer can also just be a type of bread though.
let me look up wafer because I a very thin, light, crisp, sweet cookie or cracker, especially one of a kind eaten with ice cream. It's more of like a cookie or cracker thing. Now, cookies are cakes, definitionally, because a cookie is a small sweet cake, typically round, flat, and crisp. Now, I don't know what the definition of a cracker is. I don't think I've ever looked that up before. A thin, crisp wafer, often eaten with cheese or other savory topping. Now, does the definition of cake have bread in it? Because I think it's weird to say that, like, it's categorically not bread. It's like cross the line into cake. A cake is an item of soft, sweet food made from a mixture of flour, shortening, eggs, sugar, and other ingredients, baked and often decorated. Aw, shit! The definition of cake does not specify that the bitch is bread. It specifies ingredients that you would probably see put in bread, but it's not definitionally bread.
So the communion wafers and things, they're cold wafers, but it sounds like their definition is also just like an unleavened bread.
Interesting. So it's like,
Like on the Wikipedia page of wafer, it has like the first definition is like, you know, the dry cookie thin thing, but then they're also like, and these breads are, I guess, also called wafers.
interesting. Well, I imagine that the type of wafer that's used for an ice cream sandwich falls within the other definition of wafer.
Sure.
Not the bread definition of it, but like the like sweet, like
Waffle is the pressed, is a cake. Yeah.
Waffles being a cake doesn't sound too weird. Because to me, waffles and pancakes, especially since you can get mixed where they're like
And
it's both,
yeah,
it's like the same thing. Yeah.
yeah. Except one tastes better.
Did you know that waffle is also a verb that means fail to make up one's mind?
Yeah.
I didn't know that until just now.
Waffling. You
But there's
you you
also a British verb of waffle, which means to speak or write, especially at great length, without saying anything important or useful. Like, well, not like Twitter because you don't go to great length in Twitter, but feels similar. Do do do
um
do.
yeah, I'm seeing the Wikipedia page for that
Also
waffle.
a failure to make up one's mind.
Blathering thing. And then the US to change one's mind.
So a small crisp batter cake baked in a waffle iron and eaten hot with butter or syrup. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why does the definition
It's not it's like how one usually has a thing, right?
it doesn't say
If you have
that
like a
though,
birthday cake, right?
right?
For it to be a birthday cake, it usually has like frostings and candles, right? It doesn't have to, but that's just like what it usually is.
You say it doesn't have to, but it doesn't say like usually eaten with, it doesn't say like often eaten with. It says and eaten hot with butter or syrup. If I
You can have a cold waffle and it's still a waffle,
But
right?
is
It
it
doesn't
a waffle? Definition, because it breaks the
have
definition of what a waffle is. Because it's cold. It's eaten hot.
cold waffle is still a waffle.
Is it a waffle?
What else would it be?
I don't know.
Cold pressed pancake?
I think it's weird when definitions get that specific. Because even the part where it's like eaten hot with butter or syrup. So you're telling me if I eat it with no butter and no syrup, is it not a
You can just
waffle?
take it out the pan, chew on it. That's still a waffle.
Is it? Or
Yes. I
haven't
don't know
completed
why
the definition yet?
why you're like taking this definition very like not literally like very
I am taking it literally.
specific on the phrasing
It's
when it doesn't seem to be like that like much thought put into it, right?
because definitions define the scope of a thing. So it's like
I mean, like, but the Wikipedia, it's not like a
I'm not
dictionary.
on Wikipedia. This is the Google thing that pulls from the Oxford Dictionary, pulls from the OED.
You say it pulls from the
Each
OED, but that
says it pulls from the
Oxford
OED.
language,
If you scroll down to the bottom, it says definitions from Oxford languages.
which is just not the OED.
What's Oxford
An
languages?
associated website,
Let me
which is
look up
the OED. It's from
Oxford
Oxford University
languages.
Press. It just isn't the
Excuse me. So
like
languages.oup. What is that? Do 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 do.
like they're the people who do the Oxford English Dictionary, but it isn't
Okay.
from the Oxford English Dictionary. You know, it's
What
like
if I check the Oxford English Dictionary for waffle? Are you
it's
saying
like
it's not
movie
going to be the
trailers.
same
They're like
thing?
brought to you by the guys who made Shrek. It's not like brought to you by Shrek, you know? It's the people who make the thing.
So, do you think they're using not the definitions from the dictionary that they control,
They're not citing the OED at the bottom of the Google thing.
but
They're
they're
citing
citing the creators of the OED? Are you saying that the creators of the OED have like other definitions? That like they're like we have
the
a
OED would just
dictionary?
be the OED like in more details and various definitions than these. So this is some sort of like truncated version of that, if it is from that.
How do you know like
You went to other dictionaries or sources or something.
but what other dictionaries would they pull
Quoting
from?
like definitions from the OED and definitions from Oxford languages.
But what definitions would Oxford languages use that are not from the
No.
OED?
But if they were pulling from the OED, wouldn't they just say from the OED?
But they don't have to because Oxford Languages makes the OED. Like, imagine if you're using Google, but you're like a Spanish speaker or whatever. So you like Google the definition of a Spanish word? Do you like they could just say Oxford languages to cover their basis regardless of what language you're like Googling the definition of a word in, right?
I don't know. Like
I
I don't.
think that like doesn't that make sense?
But the people who write a book or like a publish or like print it is not from like a quote from the book, right?
But where else would they be grabbing the definition
You like
not
quote
from
something
their
from
dictionaries?
Twitter that's not like about Harry Potter. It's not like from the text of Harry Potter. It's from the person who made it. It doesn't like they can still be drawing on the same like pool of like notes and information, but it's not like in that text.
But what would be the point of
Like it's
creating
not like page
new
number
definitions
on the
for
OED.
words that are in the OED already?
You would have to like pull up the OED and then cross-reference the thing that comes up on Google with the thing in the OED to actually like verify the definition
Is
is the
the
definition.
same between the two. But from what I can tell, if you go to like the OED site, they're like, "Are you a subscriber?" Like
Right, you have to
assigned
subscribe
to
to
the
the
OED.
OED.
So it's
If you
like,
have to subscribe and pay for the OED, then why do you think they just put OED text on Google for free?
because you mentioned that the OED goes into like much more detail. So it could be like a shorter, like you said, like shorter cut from the
Right.
OED,
So
but
the
not the
shorter
whole
cut
thing.
could be something made by Oxford, but it could just not be the OED. It's like there's separate shorter cut for Google.
But the shorter cut doesn't necessarily mean that it's a
They
new
have a separate
definition.
dictionary that's like an abridged dictionary from Oxford languages, but it just isn't like technically or in actuality the OED.
But you could quote from, like they could be taking
They could have the same
a
definition,
shorter thing.
and if it isn't that, then don't say it's from the OED. Say it's
So
from Oxford
Oxford
languages, like
languages,
they
all
say
right.
on Google.
But it still could be from the OE. Like the issue is that we just don't have the subscription to see if when you go to Waffles,
It
it's just a
could
line
be
from the
the
thing.
same as what's in the OED. Doesn't mean it's from the OED.
So you're like an English definition from Oxford languages, the creators of the
You had
Oxford English
like
Dictionary.
a definition, right, in two different dictionaries, and they were just words exactly the same. And if you like quote from one dictionary, you're not quoting from the other dictionary.
But Oxford Languages isn't a dictionary in its own right. It's like the
They're
group
two
or
different
whatever.
dictionaries. You're not actually quoting from the OED if it's just not that.
But Oxford Languages isn't like an alternative dictionary. Like it's not like
Like if you're doing like a citation, right? You're not citing the OED. You're citing Oxford Language's website.
but
You
Oxford
could cite
Languages
the OED. You have to go
website
into the OED and like actually cite it there.
free English
It's
and
a different
Spanish
thing.
lexico.
It's a different thing.
Why is it that they have like the OED versus the lexico thing?
Because they have other stuff.
Because it's to me, as far as I can tell, is the OED not just like the lexico stuff, but they go into more detail.
No, it's like an old because the OED used to be like literal book dictionaries. Like they used to print them like these books, but then now it's like online.
Right.
I mean, you could probably still get a book. I don't know, but like, so it's like this specific like series of dictionaries that they've been printing for like a couple hundred years or something. The Lexico stuff is not that.
How different is it?
I don't know how different it, but just isn't.
Because I can confirm that like the lexico definitions are the same as what's
You
on
can have things that are like the same, but then they're also like not the same thing. Like you can have like Batman, right? And
right.
he's in like his Batman run. You have like a Batman series,
Hmm.
and then from like like the same Batman in like another book.
Right.
Like it's the same thing, but
Right.
it's just not the book that it's not, right?
I know what you're trying to say, but you're fucking up a little bit. Like it's like how Batman Beyond appears in Batman the Brave and the Bold, and it's the same Batman Beyond that's from the Batman Beyond show, but it's not the same show because he's on a different show, right? Like that's what you're saying, right?
I guess.
Okay, it's still the same Batman. Like it's like if you tried to show me Batman Beyond from the Batman the Brave and the Bold show, and you said brought to you by DC Comics. It's like yeah, but like isn't that the Batman Beyond from the Batman Beyond cartoon? And it's like, no, it's the Batman Beyond from the Batman the Brave and the Bold cartoon. But it's the same Batman. So you could kind of say it either way. You know, like it kind of doesn't matter. Because it's the same guy, regardless of what show you're referring to. And it could be the same definition, regardless of the dictionary you're referring to.
Like very specific on like Wikipedia things for like waffles.
And I'm not like, using Wikipedia as my reference point.
Okay, sure, but like for definitions, you're getting like really specific on like the definition of a waffle, and I'm like, so if you're gonna be really specific about like what is said,
right?
Don't say that the Google things from Oxford Languages is from the OED, which it's not.
We don't know if it's not.
But it's not
the definition of waffles in the OED.
They said it's definitions from Oxford Languages.
And then we went to Lexico, because Lexico's free, and it...
No, you just click on the Oxford Languages thing on the Google, and it'll take you to the Oxford Languages and Google webpage.
Oxford Languages...
Oxford English Dictionary. Or Google's English Dictionary is provided by Oxford Languages.
Hold on, let me find what you're talking about.
What?
Where you click it and it like shows the thing.
On Google. Like just
so languages.oup Google Dictionary. Okay. So I've never clicked on that directly. Let me look at that. So now, well, this is just the Oxford Languages page that I was on like a second ago. It's like this is another dictionary or anything. It's just giving you more information about the Google Dictionary, which is what we were just looking at. Okay. Oxford's English dictionaries are widely regarded as the world's most authoritative sources. Oxford Languages is the world's leading dictionary publisher. Google's English dictionary is provided by Oxford Languages. How do we create our dictionaries? Why do we include vulgar or offensive words? Why do we include slang? How do we source our example sentences? I don't see how this link that like we clicked somehow confirms without a doubt that it's not in the OED.
Okay.
I think it does. Like, if anything, you can say we're not sure if it's in the OED or not.
Information on Google, right, is from Google's English Dictionary provided by Oxford Languages.
The definitions for Google's English Dictionary do come from Oxford Languages. That is true. That doesn't mean that the definitions that are in it aren't the same as the ones from the OED.
The OED would have dozens and dozens of, like, references to, like, any word.
Yeah, just because all the references aren't shared doesn't mean that the definitions aren't the same. Like, just because they don't have all the references...
definition is the same as the definition in the OED. Like, for what word? Like, what are you talking about?
For waffles. Like, I'm saying we don't know that the definitions aren't the same in both areas. Because we just don't have access to the OED.
Like, references and, like, all, like, possible definitions. So go back to, like, the earliest reference of a waffle in the English language that they know of. And that definition is probably not the same as the thing with butter and shit on it, right?
If the OED has all the definitions based on like what you're going by, then wouldn't that mean that this Google definition would also be in the OED?
Possibly.
Possibly. So Oxford Languages, the same group that makes the OED, the book that you claim will have like all the different definitions of the word going back. You're like, it may, they might have it in it. Like, why wouldn't they have it if the OED is like the complete one?
That.
I agree that we can't really verify it without either of us subscribing to the OED. I'm just saying you can't like confirm for a fact that it's not in the OED.
I'm not trying to confirm I'm just trying to say that it's not from the OED. The
What?
definition could be the same in both the Google English Dictionary
And in the OED.
Oxford English Dictionary, because by Oxford Languages. What I'm saying is, don't say they're the same dictionary. Don't say the definitions are the same unless you pull up Oxford English Dictionary.
And you can confirm that they're the same. I'm agreeing with you that we don't know for sure. I don't think it's too crazy to think that they probably are. But I agree that we don't know. We don't know for sure.
Don't do it. Waffles.
Waffles. Are cold waffles waffles?
Yes.
I don't know. It's still a mystery. Because it is interesting how like definitions can work for stuff. Because do you agree with the idea that like cookies are cakes? I had like coworkers who debated about that.
The first sentence for the Wikipedia page for waffle says a waffle is a dish made from leavened batter or dough that is cooked between two plates that are patterned to give a characteristic shape, size, and surface impression. That sentence doesn't list needing to be warm or having anything on it.
That's true. That's like a different definition of waffle.
Like waffles, this is later, waffles may be made fresh or simply heated after having been commercially cooked and frozen. You know, like Eggo
waffles.
Frozen and such. You could chew on a frozen Eggo waffle and still a waffle.
I've tried. I wouldn't recommend.
Because like the word waffle comes from like a Frankish word, waffle, meaning like honeycomb or a cake.
Makes sense based on the design. Speaking of like honey, what do you normally eat on your waffle? Like when you eat a waffle? You don't eat waffles?
I don't know. Maybe the waffles I have here too like cooked and crunchy. But I usually just like, because like the other day Michelle was making waffles and they're like, "Do you want waffles?" I'm like, "Nah." But if you make pancakes, I hit you up. Waffles, pass. Maybe I should try their waffles. I mean, they're pretty much the same thing. Just
have you ever had like Waffle House waffles?
I feel like whenever I go to Waffle House, I don't get waffles. Just get like normal sandwich foods or whatever.
The Waffle House waffles aren't like super hard and crunchy. I've had like the harder, crunchier waffles, and I'm not like a fan.
I don't mean like I mean just like because they're normally cakey soft things. It's just then the waffles kind of aren't even that crunchy.
Because I feel like there's like a variety of different like types of waffles. You know what I mean? It just sounds like based on what you said earlier that your experience with waffles are like harder waffles.
Liège waffles, Flemish waffles, like 3 different areas in Belgium. American waffles, Belgian waffles. So like the North American Belgian waffles. Gosh, that's weird. That they say are authentic Belgian waffles. Or New York World's Fair style. So like on the variety they have like 3 different varieties from like different parts of Belgium. Then American waffles. And then Belgian waffles are a North American waffle variety based on a simplified version of the Belgian. So it's like a weird North American. If North Americans like tried to make Belgian waffles, I guess.
Like it's inspired by, but not the same.
As opposed to say something like the Brussels waffles,
which is like an authentic kind of Belgian waffle.
From Belgium, yeah.
So right now, this bread talk has got me looking at the Gingerbread Man Wikipedia page for like the old fairy tale.
Not like the Shrek guy.
Not the, I mean the Shrek one's inspired by that. You know, it's a modern take on it.
Fairy tale. as a joke on Disney. They're like, oh, we're just lifting these fairy tales.
The
Um,
gingerbread man, I think, is like a weird concept.
Pandan waffle from
Folktale about a gingerbread man's escape from various pursuits.
coconut milk in the batter.
Oh, the gingerbread man dies at the end of the story. He gets eaten by a fox.
I mean,
You know,
doesn't everyone just get eaten by foxes in those stories?
nah, because like Little Red Riding Hood's like a wolf, and Three Little Pigs, also like a wolf if they don't get away from him, depending on the story. Normally it's
But who
wolves.
eats the fox? Like, doesn't the wolf then eat all the fox?
Are you like every story ends with the wolf getting somebody? Because that's not always what happens.
Probably. Like, who's eating the wolf?
Maybe like a
At the
dragon,
top of the food chain.
because they're all these like fairy tale things.
I mean, there could just be like a hunter guy who just kills the wolf and eats it.
True.
Like, he's probably the top of the food chain.
He's not the top of the food because I think a dragon would kill a hunter.
Food
Only
web,
eight would
because
kill a
not,
dragon.
it's not as linear, you know.
Wait, did you say a werewolf?
No, I meant like food web.
Oh, you said a food
Not as
web.
linear as like a chain would be.
That's fair.
And then you got like the bugs that are like eating the dead body, and that's also a thing. There's Indonesian waffles,
Let's see.
Scandinavian waffles. There's a
What
bunch
is
of
a cumulative tail?
Norway, Finland, Iceland, Swedish.
So a cumulative tale, also sometimes called a chain tale, action or dialogue, repeats and builds up in some way as the tale progresses.
Group waffles.
Oh, a cumulative tale, Ryan, is kind of like when you give a mouse a cookie, like how like the same thing happens over and over again, but it gets like crazier as the story
Like,
goes.
kind of like they put stuff in between the waffle bits, so it's like are thin waffles with syrup filling
Is that the
originated
definition of?
what?
You were talking about waffles that have stuff in between. What's that called though? I missed the name.
Well, I mean, this particular one is a stroop waffle.
Stroop waffle.
It's a wafer cookie
Mhm.
made from two thin layers of baked dough joined by a caramel filling.
I've seen
So it's
that before.
like two really thin waffle things
Yeah.
with like something in it. Yeah.
I've seen a Stroop waffle. We're getting closer to figuring out what the fuck a Subway sandwich is.
Waffles on a stick are long waffles cooked onto a stick, usually dipped into something like chocolate syrup with sprinkles on top. I'm surprised they didn't list like or maybe it's somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, ice cream cones are a type of waffles or wafers. Toppings. Waffles can be eaten plain,
What the
especially
fuck?
at dinner times, or eaten with various toppings, such as butter, chocolate chips, apple butter. This
Have you
French
seen
word.
a tuna sandwich cake?
How do you pronounce this? It's like dulce de leche.
Dulce sounds fine. I mean,
I think the C isn't like a CH, it's like an S. It's not like deuce. They say it's some sort of like Latin American, like Brazilian thing. So maybe it's more. It's like Portuguese. However you say that, and then there's also a Spanish name for it. It's some sort of
a sweet food or drink, especially a candy or jam. Dulce is what it is.
but like a particular type of that is a
Particular type of dulce.
heated sweetened milk, most commonly cow milk, to create a substance that derives its flavor from Maillard reaction. Candy made of milk. I think it's like brown caramel looking thing.
I mean, it sounds almost like a caramelized milk kind of thing.
Fruits, bananas, blueberries, boysenberries, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries. I only ever like hear about boysenberries in
Like
terms
jam
of
or something.
yeah, in terms of like putting it on like waffles or pancakes. Like only that. Like that content, like the syrup or the jam. Like it's never just people casually like eating boys like at the store or something. Like do they even like sell that normally?
I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of things
Yeah.
that they sell that we just
It's
don't buy.
like a common, like, normalized fruit. Let's
Savory
see.
tuna sandwich cake is something that I'm currently
As of
looking at.
2016, New Zealand was the world's largest producer and exporter of boysenberries. The more you know.
I'm trying to figure out what a sandwich cake is. This
Raspberries,
looks like
blackberries,
just a
strawberries,
normal cake.
jam or jelly, chocolate spread, peanut butter, syrup, maple syrup, chocolate syrup, caramel syrup, flavored syrup.
Do people
Whipped
put cookie butter on waffles?
what?
Do people put cookie butter on waffles?
You probably could.
I feel like you could. Cookie butter's already made of bread, so it's like you're putting like a bread on a bread. Seems
Uh, sure.
because it's
Like
made of cookie. Like you beat the cookies up the same way you do like peanuts or something to make cookie butter.
whipped cream, powdered sugar, ice cream cup.
An ice cream sandwich is a frozen dessert consisting of ice cream between two biscuits.
Waffles may also be
And
eaten with savory rather than sweet toppings, but doesn't list any. Seven
cookie
seafood,
sandwich a thing?
savory waffles, savory consistently.
Well, there's a sandwich cookie, also known as a sandwich biscuit, is a type of cookie made from two thin cookies with a
Is
filling
that like a
between.
British thing? Because like they call cookies biscuits over there.
Well, Oreos are also considered a sandwich cookie. Um,
If Oreo is a sandwich cookie, then like does that relate to like the earlier thing you're talking about, like of a sandwich that has like bread? Because it like is it like is a sandwich cookie more of like a cookie that resembles or is styled as a sandwich?
a sandwich cookie is a type of cookie made
Not like
from
a
two thin
kind of sandwich.
cookies with a filling. So it's like it has to be like a thin cookie. The issue with like a Subway sandwich though is Subway bread isn't necessarily like thin bread. So I can't say that like Subway bread is like a sandwich.
Because that's like the type, but like if you took like two like large of these like big round cookie things and made some sort of like ice cream sandwich or like just like a sandwich, like peanut butter in there,
Right.
would that not still just be a sandwich made out of cookies, but not really
Rem-
like a sandwich cookie?
Remember, a sandwich is defined as having bread with stuff in between it. You know what I mean? Like,
Oreo has cookie with stuff in between.
well, an Oreo is a sandwich cookie. Like, there's just like another term for when it's like a cookie that's doing a sandwich thing. But it also specifies it has to be like thin cookies.
Yeah, I'm like, what if you have like a thick
Thick
cookie?
cookie, right. I don't know what that's called yet. But we're learning, Ryan. We're getting there. What's like a doozy? Like, I feel like I've heard of like a doozy ice cream sandwich or whatever, and it's like a thick fucking cookie, but I'm not sure if that's true. It sounds like something I remember, but yeah, Great American Cookies has these fucking things. Let me figure out if I can get to the bottom of this. Great American Cookie doozy. Yeah, fucking, because those are like two cookies and a filling, but the cookies aren't thin. So are they considered doozies then? Doozies sound like a brand thing that's specific.
Doozy, like a DOOZY is like a informal word for like something like unique or outstanding.
So I'm talking DOOZIE.
CIE.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could have a doozy of a
A
thing.
doozy of a doozy kind of thing.
I'm not coming up with one. Is it free dictionary?
What?
Uh,
It's a like Great American Cookies brand thing. Like a doozy is like a specific thing that like they make. You're not gonna find it in a dictionary, I don't think. I could be wrong.
doozy cookie.
Double doozies are made with our delectable icing sandwiched between our favorite cookies. So they're
Are thin cookies to be a cookie sandwich?
yeah, to be a cookie sandwich it has to be thin. And some of these pictures, the cookies look kind of thin on the doozies, but I don't think all doozies are made with thin cookies because I've seen like thick cookies for a doozy.
Yeah.
My boy Ryan trying to get comfortable. He's holding the camera, so the whole shit's like.
I don't know what happens when you have a weird camera thing going on.
Let's see. But a doozy would be like a very informal word for like a sandwich made with like thicker cookies. Did you have a hiccup?
I guess.
Because some of the doozies look like it's like a thinner like chocolate chip thing, and then some of them are like these thick cookies with like a bunch of sprinkles and shit on them. So they vary, I think, between being like a cookie, excuse me, sandwich versus just being a doozy, depending on how thick they make the cookies. But it's not like a consistent thickness of a cookie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
But I still wouldn't call Subway bread a cookie though.
But it's like because they're doing like based on like the amount of sugar in a bread makes
Right.
it like a
Right.
like.
And then cookies are also cakes, but they're like thin. But Subway bread isn't thin. It's still kind of like floofy.
Well, I mean, they're not talking like a like so like. What is the difference between a bread and a cake?
Between a bread and a cake. Well, we looked up the definition of cake earlier, and the definition of cake doesn't have like the word bread explicitly stated anywhere. It's an item of soft sweet food made from a mixture of flour, shortening, eggs, sugar, and other ingredients baked and often decorated.
Okay, and the definition of a bread.
Is a food made of flour, water, and yeast or other leavening ingredient mixed together and baked.
I mean, because you have things like sweetbreads, which is like, what if we took bread and put sugar?
If it's sweet bread, then I guess in Ireland it must have not enough sugar to no longer be qualified bread, would be the line. You know? How does stuff like raisin bread or like cinnamon bread work in like
I mean, that's
Ireland? Is it cake? Like, does it go too far once you start flavoring it?
here. Google like sweetbread and see what comes up on the Google dictionary thing.
Sweet bread, sweet bread. The thymus gland.
I don't think those are sweetbread. Like all those pictures is like some like what is it? It's like like some sort of meat dish.
Yeah, it's like a food thing. But then the
Like a
definition is not food.
animal yeah, like
Oh
some
wait,
sort
hold
of.
up. Read the like finish the definition. The thymus gland, or rarely the pancreas of an animal, especially as used for food.
What does that have to do with sweetbread? I don't.
They're
What
like that's what it's like a food item, like the meat that we're seeing in those pictures.
called a sweetbread?
Yeah, that we're seeing animal pancreas or thymus gland, my guy. That's what's being eaten in that.
So can we like Google definition for sweetbread?
I think sweet bread, right, might be like an informal thing that people say.
Okay, so
Well, here's
here's
like a Wikipedia thing. Oh, that's also the fucking thymus thing.
the thymus, also called a throat, gullet, or neck sweetbread, or pancreas, or called stomach, belly, or sweetbread, typically from calf and lamb. The heart sweetbreads are more spherical in shape, while the throat sweetbreads are more cylindrical in shape. As the thymus is replaced by fibrous tissue in older animals, only pancreatic sweetbreads come from beef and pork.
Look up like a sweet roll. A sweet roll or sweet bun refers to any of a
Oh,
number of sweet baked yeast leavened breakfast or dessert foods.
this article is for the organ meat. For sweetened breads, see quick bread, sweet meat, and list of sweet breads. So, what is quick bread?
It seems like
Quick
sweet
bread is
rolls would
any
be close.
bread leavened with leavening agents other than yeast or eggs. An advantage of quick breads is their ability to be prepared quickly and reliably, not requiring the time-consuming labor needed for traditional yeast breads. Quick breads may in, quick breads include many cakes, brownies, and cookies, as well as banana bread, beer bread, biscuits, cornbread, muffins, pancakes, scones, and soda bread. So it sounds like maybe this is the kind of definition difference. Let's see. Quick bread is probably originated in the United States at the end of the 18th century. Citation needed. Before the creation of quick bread, baked goods were leavened with either yeast or mixing dough with eggs. Fast bread.
I mean, it sounds like the Ireland legal definition has a lot more to do with sugar content. Because it sounds like even if you did like a slower bread, right? But it was just really sweet. It sounds like Ireland would still be like, that bitch is a cake. You know? Like if it wasn't a quick bread, but it still had a lot of sugar. Right?
Maybe.
Because they're comparing like sugar to flour content. Which, if it's a percentages game like that, then that sounds really weird too. It sounds like
They're like, because they're like, do we tax it as a bread or do we
or
tax
tax
it?
it as a cake. Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you could have something that's super sweet, right? But as long as you had a shit ton of flour like that offset it, it still would be like a bread. If they're just comparing the ratio of those ingredients to determine the difference, right?
Maybe. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for bread.
I'm looking at sweet roll right now.
I like how they say American style biscuits, which is what we normally call biscuits, like, but that's different from like British biscuits, which are like cookies or something.
Right. I once had a Spider-Man like box of biscuits or whatever, and it was just like a bunch of cookies. But like it said biscuits on the box.
Cultural influence. Bread bowl. Bread bowl.
I'm about to check out CBR's comic news real quick. Start reading off some headlines to see if there's anything interesting. Let's see. Iron Man. Happy Hogan's life is way sadder than it is in the MCU. I don't know how many people really care about Happy Hogan. Batman, who is Henchmaster, Gotham City's newest villain. To me, a lot of Gotham villains are kind of sorry anyways. I don't really care. What are your thoughts? Are you curious about Henchmaster?
I don't know who that is.
Neither do I. He's the newest villain. I don't think either of us would know who he was unless we were reading Batman.
Like, since when? Like, in what time frame is he newest in?
They say Batman the Joker Warzone issue #1 introduces a new Gotham City villain.
Okay.
Um,
So he's a new Batman villain?
yeah. The name Henchmaster makes it sound like he's like the master of henchmen.
I mean, he could still say like, instead of he's a master of henchmen, he could be like, he's a master henchman.
I'm the best henchman.
Yeah. Like, like in like some like One Punch Man, he's like the top of like the, I don't know, like, C tier or something, or B tier of like villains, of like henchmen. He's like the number one, like at the Harley Quinn hench bar or whatever. He's just like,
Oh, he's the guy who gives other people henchmen. Oh, did you freeze? Ah, shit. My boy's super frozen. Stuck in carbonite. Let me see if I can fix his freeze situation. Ryan. I'll end the call and then redial. See if that fixes. I'm gonna stretch. Hopefully we'll be able to with Ryan, and then he remembers the protocol for how we do these reconnections. Ryan, are you there? There we go. Hey, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da. So I learned
For whatever
it's called
reason,
the
my
hinge.
computer like locked up and bombed or something. So I'm on my phone now. Like my computer's like rebooting.
Okay, no problem. You might have had like a scheduled update or something. Um,
No.
so the hinge master, right? He's the guy who supplies the henchmen for all the Gotham City villains. Like they all come
Your
from.
computer was restarted because of a problem.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
dun dun dun.
Ignore your shutdown.
You know how
Unshut.
the Tinkerer in Marvel is the guy who supplies all the villains with their gadgets?
No.
Well, that's the thing. In DC, the henchmaster is the guy you go to if you want henchmen to do a crime.
So he's like a logistics guy.
Well, for henchmen specifically. Like, you don't ask him for gadgets or anything. That's probably somebody else. But, like, the henchmaster sounds like he could take over Gotham if he wanted to. Because if all the henchmen really work for him.
So like he's the guy who's like sending always those weapon shipments that you always hear about.
No, no, no. Henchmaster only does henchmen, right?
Henchmen related weapon shipments then.
What do you mean henchman? Like, if you tell.
Like in Batman Beyond, he's always like dropping in on like some like weapons uh like
Ryan, what
not
does
like
the camera work? Your phone did like
I'm
two
holding my
flips and then
phone.
stopped on your ear.
The camera. So I'm like moving it around like this as I talk. Because normally instead of like when I'm on the phone, instead of like talking up to my ear like that, I'll usually just put on speakerphone and then just hold it this distance from my head, and then move around as I'm like talking with my hands or just talking. So like that's what's happening as I hold it casually with
You
my
keep putting
hand.
your laptop screen on blast. We're seeing all your files.
Oh my phone! Oh no!
Let's see. So he supplies Gotham's villains with henchmen. Uh, do we know anything else about Henchmaster? It sounds like
Like
if you beat Henchmaster, don't you end up depriving a lot of villains of henchmen?
I mean, they'll just be henchmen without weapons, but they can still just like pick up like crowbars
What
and
do you
stuff.
mean without? He's not supplying weapons. Henchmaster is like, do you need guys? And he gets you
So he's a
guys.
people guy?
Yeah, he's a
So
people
he's
guy.
like the guy running the henchman bar.
He's the guy running the henchman who might be running the henchman bar, but he's not
Is
running
he
the
like head of
henchman.
like the henchman union?
Did you say the henchman union?
Because there's a henchman union.
He sounds more like a henchman temp service guy. Like, are you
Temps.
looking for a henchman job? Joker needs like a few positions open, kind of thing.
Right.
It's weird that he's like a villain with like his own like gimmick and costume and stuff. You'd think he'd just be like a guy behind a desk, you know?
Why? Why would he be like that?
Because he doesn't need to like. He has like different colored eyebrows and like a weird mask and like face paint. Like, why is he so weird when he could just be like.
It's Gotham. Everyone's weird. Like, why would he be so weird, jazz of a Batman villain?
Yeah, but Commissioner Gordon is like a good guy, but he's not like the cop master. And he has like some weird theatrics. He's just like the police commissioner. I don't know. It's weird for them to beat the henchmaster in issue number 1. Does everyone not have henchmen now? Like, is that going to affect the story?
Henchman.
Okay. Juggernaut just voiced the frustration of the entire world is a headline. Uh,
On what?
I
Website?
maybe he's talking about political stuff. I don't know.
This like comic book website. Like what? What are you looking at?
I'm looking at CBR Comic News. I'll check the TLDR to see what the hell they're talking about. Let's see. Do 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 do. So it seems like Juggernaut's reformed. He's working with damage control, helping them demolish buildings. so he's not like a bad guy. Let's see. He ends up fighting a squatter who's like in one of the buildings that's supposed to be demolished. Let's see. The squatter has the ability to create deceleration fields which slow down kinetic energy, which he uses to try and capture the juggernaut, but it doesn't stop him. Okay? Hmm. What? What the fuck? So here's what happens. Essentially, Juggernaut like tears down the building that the person who's fighting him is in, and they get stuck in the rubble. But it's like an accident. Like Juggernaut essentially was like just running and then got caught in the field. And then when the field went away, he couldn't really stop. He was just already moving. So then he destroys the building.
Here's an article about Guy Gardner punching the evil Superman.
Hold on a sec, because we talked about that last episode.
That is Green Lantern just destroyed DC's worst Superman.
So
one punch.
The reason why they say that Juggernaut's voicing the frustrations of the world is because he gets upset that people are filming the fight instead of helping him dig the people out of the rubble. And the comic book article is trying to say that this is like commentary on like current world events. Like why are so many people filming
like tearing down buildings?
No. It's about the concept of him being like, I'm trying to help someone and I could help them better if you guys help me, but you guys are busy filming. Like it's the comic book thing's trying to make it into like a social commentary thing. So many people are filming problems where they're not like trying to solve them, is like what the article's saying.
What does that have to do with Juggernaut?
Because Juggernaut's trying to dig this person out of the rubble and people are filming it because it was like a super fight or something. And he's like, why are you guys filming it? Help me dig them out of the rubble. Like this person could die, but you guys aren't doing all you can to help them.
Like, do they have like shovels? Like, what do you want people to do? Break their fingernails on these bricks? Like, get all dirty? Or they're like in New York, right? They have like places to be.
But I mean, if they have places to be, then why are they sitting here filming? You know what I mean? Like,
because people with places to be don't want to be at those places. They're like, I'm procrastinating, but they still got places to be.
So, I feel like this is a interesting thing for Juggernaut to be like, help me, like save this.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Right? Because he's like
and then
super
he like
strong.
digs out some person like Kitty Pryde, just tosses her into the street. He's like, "You're out of the ruffle." Normally, you'd think she would, because she gets caught in the strip. It's Kitty, so just like she's like, "Thanks, Juggernaut. Thanks for tossing me into the street."
Well, it's not like a Kitty Pryde type person that he's saying. Because if it was Kitty Pryde, she could just phase through the rubble. It's like a...
Unless she was unconscious.
True. But the thing I don't get about this, like...
Yo, one time, like, a brick wall fell on Alex.
Fell on who?
Alex. From Savage, the cop lady.
Oh, right. Okay.
Dig her out. And she's in the hospital.
So...
And, like, her boyfriend was being, like, a dick.
Okay.
Because, like, Dragon wanted to, like, come by and apologize and, like, talk to her and stuff.
But the boyfriend was, like, defensive because everybody loved Savage's dick.
Not telling her that Dragon wanted to drop... Like, Dragon, like, called and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, he was, like, filtering out Dragon's, like, attempts at communication. So she's like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, what?
Right.
And here I thought Dragon was being like a jerk for not like trying
to communicate with him.
But it was you.
Right. So with this Juggernaut thing, I don't really like the angle that comic book resource is trying to take it. Because Juggernaut trying to like dig off of somebody is something that Juggernaut probably should do by himself because he's super strong. Like, I think other people are more likely to get hurt.
Bricks.
Also, Ryan, are you getting ready for bed? Do you want to end the podcast for now?
Wait, I've been laying in bed the whole time, Jet.
Well, now the camera's like showing the upper, like left hand corner of your room, and you're like fully laid out. You're not even like on screen, and then you're off screen going like,
Yeah, but I've been doing that this whole time.
mm-hmm. Okay. As long as you're still down, I'm still down.
Down, down,
Let's see.
down. What about up, Jet? What about up?
I'm up for the stream and I'm down for the stream. Well, recording. It's never stream. King Shark, the Suicide Squad star, has savage powers and a wild
And a
history.
history.
So I already did like a full video on King Shark, so I'm not too interested in that article.
What about Queen Shark?
I don't think that's a thing. Is that a thing?
I mean, if King Shark is a king, is he gonna like rule without a queen?
Well, King Shark's like a demigod. Like it's not necessarily that he is like a royalty king, you know?
Why not? Why is he called King Shark?
Excuse me.
What's he a king of?
Why is
Shark?
Superman called Superman when he's not like a human? Like he's not like a.
But he's a Superman.
But is he a man though?
Yeah.
Is he? He's a Kryptonian.
Do Kryptonians not have men? Men Kryptonians?
What's the
A
definition
real man?
of like a man? Is it not like a male human? Yeah, it's like an adult human male is a man. You wouldn't go up to like a male dog and be like, "That's a man."
Yeah, but he looks like
That's
a
it.
man.
But that
has
doesn't make him a
superpowers.
man just because he
So they
looks
called him
like a man.
Superman.
Like King Shark looks like a shark. He doesn't look like a king though. Like I, I don't know. It's just a name. Is the
He looks like a king of sharks.
He looks like the man of sharks. Like man shark, I think is an appropriate name.
For King Shark.
Or land shark. That could be like another name that I think would make sense.
Well, it's not that the names aren't appropriate. It's just like a more like appropriately literal name.
Right.
Like what else would Superman be called? Like Kryptonian Man?
Why would he be called Kryptonian Man?
Man of Krypton? Krypton Man?
Why you're still putting man? He's just not a man though. Like if
That's
we're
what the
being literal
superhero
with the
thing.
name.
Like Batman isn't a bat, but he looks like a
But he looks like a bat.
Batman.
And I get that
And
you're
Kryptonian
Superman looks like a
Superman.
man. I get you.
He looks like a Superman. That's
It's
why they
weird to
call
say
him
he
Superman.
looks super. How do you look super?
Because he's flying around and doing super stuff.
Like the powers make you look.
Like it's like in like where you're talking like in like the Incredibles where they're like calling people with superpowers like supers.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look like a super, kind of like what the one girl on Facebook is. It looks like a superhero outfit. Usually a person with powers doing some sort of heroic. They look like a superhero.
Superhuman means like having or showing exceptional ability or powers.
Yeah.
I feel like Superman.
Flying around catching people's out of cats and trees. That's pretty exceptional and super.
I think Superman looks the most super when he's like the gold Superman or like the electric Superman because you see he has powers the whole time while looking at him. Because most of the time he looks like a dude in a funny outfit, you know?
Yeah, when he's not like flying or like punching a building.
Right. Like it's just a thing where if you just see him standing somewhere, would you go
Like at the beginning of Justice League, where they're just like these kids filming him, and he's just talking to them.
Right. It's like what's really super about it? He's just wearing it out.
I mean, just because he's like he looks like a Superman,
Does
but he also doesn't. Right, but it's like an adjective to describe what he's doing in that moment. But like Batman looks like a bat.
like all the time though?
Does he look like a bat all the time?
He's got the
Only when
cowl
you
with
first
the
see him,
ears,
maybe he looks like a bat.
and he has
Then
the
you see
bat
through his
symbol on
clever
his chest.
disguise, and you see his like lower base, and you realize he's just a guy.
But he's a Batman, so he's still representing the man
Okay,
element
what about like
too.
Aquaman? he's not an Aqua.
I
He's not
agree.
made out of
He
water.
he doesn't look like a dude made out of water. Like it could
Yeah,
be better. I agree.
like even him, like when he's like dressed up in like his armor outfit or something, like that's not like Aqua.
Agreed.
Like if you take away his trident, you wouldn't even like necessarily know he goes in the ocean. He's just like a guy
Imagine if Wonder
in
Woman
like
was
orange and
like.
green.
Imagine if Wonder
Wonder
Woman.
Woman isn't wonder. Like
Imagine if
what is
she
it?
had like a
Is
question
she's
mark
doing
like
like
on her
wondrous
chest.
things?
Yeah, like she's like, I wonder who's gonna save the day.
Wondering.
Yeah,
I wonder
wondering
who can
woman.
cross no man's land. I can, cause I'm no man.
Let's see.
Do
The
you see
flash isn't
how it
just
should
like a
have ended
bright
like
light.
the how it should have ended like comedy dub thing for Wonder Woman they made a couple days ago?
I have not seen that. I saw it in my subscription feed, but I didn't like click on it.
I watched it.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. I might check it out later.
And like they start off with like joking about how like it's something that happened, but she'll never talk about it. Like yeah, like because Batman's like trying to goad her into talking about it. He's like, I sent a picture, talk about it. And she's like, no. And then like it ends where and she's like, and that's why I don't like hang out. And then Batman's like Bruce Wayne's like, so you didn't like help stop Hitler? Like I don't like why? Where were you in World War II?
Right.
And she's just like,
So I already like talked a lot about how I don't really like Wonder Woman in the DCEU because she introduces a lot of weird plot questions like that. Um, so I'm not gonna dive too deep into that. I'm sure I'm gonna have plenty to say when Wonder Woman 1984 drops. So that'll be when I'll really dive back into that. There's a headline that says Harley Quinn just outriddled the Riddler.
Yeah, I saw that headline name. Okay.
I know you like Harley Quinn stuff. Do, 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 do,
And I like
do.
Riddler stuff.
Do you like Riddler stuff?
I mean, I guess kind of. You know,
Okay.
he's cool sometimes. Some riddles. Riddle me this, Bruce Wayne.
Oh, so Harley Quinn asked the Riddler a riddle to try and throw him off guard and then shoots him.
Yeah, it sounds like a thing she would do.
So let me see the riddle. Let's see. The image that I'm looking at is very small. Let me.
Image Comics.
Okay. He rode in on your mother, whose name is Tuesday. And then Riddler said, looking past the obvious vulgarities, you are correct. Okay, how about. And then Harley Quinn says, well, hold on. Is that the start of the riddle? Where the fuck is the start of the riddle? Okay. Oh, she's like answering a riddle from the Riddler. And then she replies with a riddle. So the riddle that she asked him is, what's tiny in stature but capable of supporting the weight of a whole house? And then the Riddler says, what? You don't riddle me, I riddle you. And then Harley Quinn shoots him with a nail gun. And then she goes, no, I riddled ya with nails. So nails was the answer to the riddle, like something small in stature that can like support a house or whatever.
Yeah.
Got him. Sometimes I don't know what qualifies as interesting enough to be an article on CVR.
Sounds like they have no like. I mean, that can just be like any kind of like outlet or journalistic thing. It's just like, why is this an article? Why are you talking about this?
I imagine there are some people who
Some weird editorial
like
standards. So
that.
like, yeah, that'll pass. We can print this or upload it. Just like sure,
What
whatever.
are they like not allowed to talk about on CBR? Because I'm sure they talked about Batman's dick when like that happened. Like, is there anything
Yeah, but I mean,
off
maybe they're only
limits?
talking about that because it generated like other like it was already a news story. Like, are they talking about Batman's dick in terms of like just the book, or are they talking about like the news around Batman's dick?
The news around the news are like
Because something like that becomes a news story, so then you can just comment or like report on the news story as opposed to thing the news story is reporting on, because that's also a thing that happens.
you can like how the media is reacting to it, kind of thing.
Or like when like a big like media story like like with the Trump taxes thing, where it's like you can have a story about the New York Times story about his taxes,
There's
or you could
a
just also talk about his taxes.
there's a Fortnite X-Men cover that's been revealed where Mystique is standing
Fortnite,
by a bunch of Fortnite characters.
Batman, damn, Daniel.
So they're still doing the whole like Fortnite like Marvel thing and like pushing it. Do you think this is getting people to read more comics, Ryan? Like people
No,
who are like Fortnite people?
is it about the comics or is it about like MCU tie-ins? Like
Well,
with like
the
Thanos and some of that, wasn't that just like more for like like their Marvel like Avengers video game or some of their cartoons or live action movies?
so when they did the Thanos thing, it
Disney
was
Plus.
to support like the movies.
Yeah,
But
like
now they're
and
doing the stuff that's like in continuity with the comics. Like they have Marvel characters in Fortnite, but there's like a comic that's like, how did they get there? And it's like there it's just straight up like the Marvel people are in Fortnite and it's in continuity. And now we have comic book covers where like Mystique is standing next to characters from Fortnite. You know?
no, I don't know the characters from Fortnite.
Well, I don't know the characters from Fortnite either. Like if the article didn't tell me, I would have thought these niggas were just in the book. But it's interesting that they're like pushing this. You know what I mean? Like it's like a thing where because it's one thing to make a comic that just
It's an Avengers initiative.
the Fortnite initiative. I think it's one thing to like make a comic that just explains why they're in Fortnite, but it's another thing to like put Fortnite characters on the cover of like an X-Men book. Because I think it's
You don't think the X-Men play Fortnite?
maybe that's what it's about.
I mean, we know like Thor does, right? Isn't that what he was playing in Endgame? He's playing like a video game in the
He is
movie.
playing Fortnite in Endgame.
Yeah.
That's true.
So the X-Men also probably play Fortnite. At least some of the like cool kids among them. We can't get like Professor X playing Fortnite, but we can definitely see like, Wolverine playing Fortnite. He's a
Professor
cool
X
kid.
could read the minds of the people he's facing to try and like out tactic them in Fortnite.
Would that help though?
Maybe if he knows like, oh, there's a guy who's planning on shooting me with like an
Like, but
M2
is he
rifle.
good enough to like dodge it in the game, even if he knows it's like kind of as like a warning, Like,
Maybe he could download their skill.
yeah, it's like Sasuke's Sharingan on Rock Lee. Like, just because he can see it coming doesn't mean he can dodge it. It's too
Mhm.
fast.
Speaking of Xavier, there's a headline that says
What Xavier
X-Men.
could do is it'd be more in plan. Like he'd see that they're like moving in a direction, so he could like keep his distance, like maintain range from them, and see through their hiding places. So he could like maybe snipe them or something.
I agree with that. He could also help support someone who is just better at the game by giving them the like psychic information. So he's not playing, but he's playing like a support role for someone who is kind of thing.
Yeah,
Ooh, here's a cool headline. Darkseid just launched his most intimate attack on
yeah. It was
Superman
super.
ever.
They've been fighting for years, but now
It's
intimate.
intimate.
He gets up all on his dick.
Darkseid just launched his most intimate
Crawls
attack
up
on
into his
Superman's dick.
urethra. Intimate.
Intimate.
Makes Superman's dick really hard. And then punches him in it. Intimate.
The comment section should be like, sus. Why are you guys talking about like Superman's dick?
Crawls up inside Superman's mouth. Starts sucking on his uvula. Intimate.
I've never heard that. Ryan came up with some new shit. I've never had a girl be like, "Yo, you trying to suck this uvula?"
That's because you too fat to get up in that mouth like that.
Let's see.
Because you gotta be like in the mouth.
Darkseid recently attacked Superman on a physical and psychological level. He invaded his
attack him on a
dreams.
sexual level.
He invaded Superman's dreams and filled his mind with fear and doubt. He was trying to drain Superman of hope to perfect the anti-life equation.
Yeah, he wants his suspiciously large dick.
He also got beat up on by Darkseid. He like physically attacked him while invading his dreams.
Yeah, I mean, punch him while his dick is erect, while he's asleep.
But Superman was able to overcome it with his hope.
Hope, power. Green Lantern, or I guess not Green Lantern. One of the
Blue
other
lanterns are the Hope
The
Lanterns.
who?
Blue lanterns.
Blue Lanterns. What about the Indigo Lanterns?
That's like compassion. Let's see. So
When are we gonna hear more about the Indigo Lantern? I've never like really heard anything about them.
they
They
have
do anything?
they have staves instead of like rings. They're weird. I don't think people talk about them most of the time.
You got that Gold Lantern. The Gold Lantern's like, I'm actually just Indigo Lantern. We had a rebranding color. You don't know.
Right now, I'm still scrolling through all these headlines. One of them is X-Men. Emma Frost just blew a hole in Krakoa's resurrection protocol, which is like how they bring mutants back to life.
Are they taking like a bunch of big risks and like unnecessarily dying because they think they'll be brought back?
Well, they already have done that. Like all the main X-Men died very early on and got brought back to life.
No, I mean like, are they being more like arrogant in like letting themselves get killed or something?
So. I think they go on suicide missions sometimes. Because that's when all the X-Men people died, that was like a suicide mission more or less.
Yeah, I've watched Suicide Squad. Hell to pay. Gotta get that card, the trading card, that Pokemon card.
I'm still looking
Get
through
that
to try and
card
find what's
more.
weird about it. Someone dies. Let's see.
X-Men.
What the fuck? What does that mean? So apparently, a character called Rockslide died, and then Polaris, Magneto's daughter, went up to the Five, who are the five mutants who
Is she
can
the
resurrect
green one?
anybody. Yeah, Magneto has additional kids other than
Yeah, is
Silver
she
and
the
Scarlet.
green one?
Yeah, she's the green one.
The green one.
So she goes to the Five, who are the mutants who are responsible for resurrecting people. And when they bring Rockslide back, he's like the amalgamation of like every Rockslide, like every alternate Rockslide. So he didn't come back as the version that died. He came back as like all the versions.
Yeah, all the virgin rock slides.
Let's see. So I don't think that matters, like what they're saying. So essentially, what Emma Frost is saying is like the real Rockslide is lost forever. And now we understand that the resurrection protocol isn't really resurrecting anybody. But they already knew that they were making like clone bodies and shit. Like it's not like a thing where they thought they were bringing people directly back to life. I don't think this changes much, but it is confusing. I don't know how you combine an amalgamation of like every version of Rock Slide.
Wait, if it was every version of Rockstar, wouldn't that just include the one that died that you were trying to bring back? Like, isn't he in there somewhere?
That's
It's
what.
like everyone but him. He's lost forever.
Let me look at this one image they have. I could have stopped that sword with a single thought. That's Polaris thinking about something else. There's a panel where Polaris goes, "No, no, no! Oh God, something's happening to Rockslide. Just hold on. It'll be okay. Everything will be okay." And then Rockslide said, "But I feel fine." And that's all it looks. Does Rockslide break apart in her hand or something like that? That's what it looks like.
I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. And he's dead. But he's rocks.
He's rock. Did it fail? Like I don't really get what's wrong based on this TLDR.
It sounds like you need to read the comic.
Maybe the full article will explain it.
I'm gonna.
Uh-huh. Batman the Darkest Knight's newest weapon almost destroyed him. Okay. So what
Time
newest
to end the
weapon?
podcast, Jet.
Oh, it's time to end the podcast? Okay. Ryan's getting too sleepy. Thank
No,
you for
no, I'm just bored of this comic book resource. It's time to end the podcast.
So you're like, it's not to change the topic. It's just to
It's time to end the podcast.
just end the whole podcast. That's fair. We're like at 2 hours and 26 minutes. Anyways, thank you all for watching. If you guys like this video, make sure to smash that like button. Favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding ding ding, ring the notification bell to be notified whenever you do these videos. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black the One and Only, here with
Attacking Superman sexually.
Log It Out. Peace, guys. Chicken a guy.